his proposal on the Cohasset military proposal.
So you're gonna jump over the
Yes, yep.
the chair? Okay.
Because I'm not sure, in terms of the discussion about the video thing, I think it would be good to have Jen there, because that's an area that she has a strong interest in and has done some background work in. So I think we could, and I don't think we're in a big rush to make decisions on that. I think we can do elections at the end of this. So I would say let's just get into the meat of what's before us.
Okay.
Glenn?
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Glenn Pratt. And here, first of all, I want to apologize for the way our application came in. I was a bit challenged typing all the information in those little squares when I thought I was putting in bullet points, and then I looked at it later and just run on sentences. So hopefully you could plow through the story. But we have our group started back in 1969, shortly after the old fire station was ripped down and the park was designated Veterans Park. And we've been building walls and listing all of the people from the different wars who served from Cohasset. And every war is there, with the exception of these two that we're going to be building now, Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. And so we think this finishes off the park. It certainly gets all the names of all the servicemen for the last couple hundred years. And right now, our project ties in and really cleans up the hardscapes that were done for the new condo project. And I have a couple of photos here, which I can show. They're in your packet too. But if you look at right now, the scene is you look from the park out towards the cove, part of the harbor. You see that little bit of a seawall. You see the big control structure for the tide gates. And that's on our property. And then it flows right into the new hardscape they did for the public walkway at the condominiums. And so our proposal is to take this wall here, which is just the old seawall here, running the whole length of the cove, and building a low wall very similar to the round circle wall that's in the center of the park now. So as you look out to the cove from the park, you'll see a nice clean wall, fieldstone with granite caps like we have on the other wall down there. Tom, I don't know if you can see, but maybe you saw it in your packet.
I did see it in the packet, and I also went down and looked at it. So I have a sense of what it would be like.
We have been thinking about this for a long time. We started talking to the select board about it prior to COVID, and then it kind of fell off. People were busy with other things. So we're now ready to go. We've spoken to all the veterans groups. We have gathered up the 191 names of the Cohasset men that went and fought in various parts of the American Revolution. Who knew there was even that many people lived in town at that time, but 191.
Wow.
And 90 some odd in the War of 1812. So these names will be listed on the wall. It'll look just like the rest of the park. We think it finishes it off nicely. It ties into the hardscape that was just put in for the new condominiums. We've had engineering done to be certain that what we're trying to build on top of the seawall will work. We've talked to the building inspector about it. We have been in touch, of course, with all the veterans organizations. They're on board. We had research at the Historical Society and the Daughters of the American Revolution, be sure that we have the names correct. And we think we're as accurate as we're going to get for that information right now. The project is $100,000, give or take. Over the years, since 1969, almost all the money to build all these walls and do all these improvements at the park has been raised privately. Your group did make a major contribution in 2006 to the big round wall that's in the center. But over the years, it's mostly been private fundraising. We're underway with fundraising right now to get a big share of what this is going to cost. Our goal would be to have a grant from your group for $75,000, and we would raise the other $25,000 to have the project constructed. Timeline, of course, is always looking towards Memorial Day, which is a big significant event in Cohasset, remembering the veterans. So we would try to get going in the winter and have it completed by Memorial Day of 2025. So it'd be a long 60-year trek, but I think we finally will have the project finished, and we will have made a significant honoring and remembering of the thousands of Cohasset people who have served over the years. So the packet had the names of the people. It has some photographs and some other information, but I'm happy to talk more about that. So if you have any questions.
Glenn, just a quick clarification. On your preliminary application, you said the funding you were requesting was $50,000. It's now $75,000.
I apologize.
Is there a
Right,
reason for that change?
Yes, because as we saw the hardscapes at the new condo and the public walkway, Harbor Walkway, come into completion, it became clear to us that we have to carry that through. We have to tie it into the park, and that involves demolition of some of the existing bluestone walkways that are there, putting in more pavers to carry that whole look across. There is some fencing that needs to come a little bit further, and we have to have a little bit different walkway for the DPW to get out to their control structure. So some things have happened since we put that first application in.
Is George McGoldrick contributing to this?
George McGoldrick, the public answer is he is participating. He's helped us with information. He's helped us with some little bit of construction so far where he ended. He speaks highly of the project and is pretty convincing when he says he'll continue to help. But I don't know what I can count on in dollars and cents from that group.
Okay.
What group is that?
The group that built the condominiums.
Oh,
I don't know their name exactly, but
Who then, outside of him, who else will you reach out to get the 25,000?
oh, we've had a number of donations come in from veterans. They've all been solicited. The big veterans organizations, the VFW and the Legion, have made significant contributions. So we think we'll get our 25,000 pretty easy. But as we got deeper into it in the very few weeks since we've been really had this in high gear, we realized that the initial estimate wasn't going to get us there. And rather than start a project and not be able to finish in a public place, we ought to have the full amount, seems to us.
Do you have a contractor involved?
We're going to use, as I talked about in the application, we use the same folks we've been using for the last 60 years. All those stone walls have been built by Brendan St. John in some various, whether he was an apprentice for somebody or finally took over himself. David Hasson, the sign carver and artist, has done the layouts and designs for all the different walls and plaques that are there, so we'll have him on that. We have had great success with New England Stone in South Kingston, Rhode Island, making the granite pieces and doing the carving and sandblasting on those. So we're going to stick with those people.
I didn't fully read the application. I'm sorry. I know you put a lot of work into it. Did we outline it for historic or open space?
I think I did just.
Well, historic is what we decided on.
The
Yeah.
last time, it was historic. Okay.
Can I ask, do things like this come before the planning board?
No, this is well, we've been to the building inspector, of course, but it's a monument. It doesn't require a building permit. It's a wall. It's something that the building inspector has told us is okay, and doesn't go to any other permitting authorities besides him. And all he was interested in seeing was engineering drawings, which we have.
If it gets assigned, then we have a liaison that works with the project, and that liaison person keeps following them through and making sure that they do have permitting or they meet their projections that we want for them. And they're supposed to come before us every few months to just give us an update.
There is still some discussion and coordination with DPW about exactly how their little catwalk and railings will work, getting out to their control structure. But no matter what, it'll make it look much better than what's there now.
So this would be a public structure that all is invited to, a historic monument, just recognizing the additional veterans that have
The
participated.
two
in
wars, we have every war has been, has a plaque on part of the wall there now. These are the only two that in the history of the country that haven't been there.
Right.
The earliest, of course. And we also have, we have a section on the round memorial that's in the center, which is entitled War on Terror. And every year, we add the names on there of the classic young people who have gone into the service that year. Last year, we added 10 names. So, you know, people think that the military is, you know, kind of out in the cloud and hidden and no one thinks about it, but young people are still stepping up.
Are they,
And of course, we had the tragedy in 2023, the first serviceman to die in 54 years. You know, the memorial was built and it had been there since 1969, listing the names of the 22 men who had died since World War I. And people think, well, that's done, that's over, that's saying it's not so. And so that's why we keep pushing the idea, keep pushing the project. And this should complete it for now, because the War on Terror goes on, and we still have places to list names there.
Any other questions?
Excellent, seems to be an excellent addition to the historical record here in Cohasset, and where it's in the public, as opposed to nothing wrong with being inside of a building, but certainly being in the public and in the open, and considering its location of where the new walkway is and the captain's walk and how it's going to connect, it's going to be something that's going to be easily observed by people as they go by. And should certainly more in the future than in the past, we'll be able to see the whole area, and then hopefully this new addition as well. So seems to be well placed.
It's going to be with the hardscapes at the public walkway. It's much more open, and this is going to be more inviting to bring people across through the park and keep on going over. You know, before there used to be a little wall that kind of segregated the two. And
Yes, you had to go inside.
inside, and
basically.
we worked out with McGoldrick's group to take that wall down and make it so it works. One of the other little known facts about this park is that since the day we built it, all of the maintenance of the grass and the upkeep and the irrigation system and all has been taken care of by Richard Kelly Landscaping from Situate at no charge. He doesn't charge anybody for it. He just does it as his contribution.
And will
Which
he
is tremendous.
continue to do
He's
the
gonna continue,
maintenance?
yes, he is. Which is that's a big donation, because it goes on year after year. And periodically I say to him, we okay, and is this working? You keep going.
Well, if we look at our numbers, we haven't really done that much in historic preservation. We did a lot in recreation, open space.
I think a lot of the historical are
Right.
actually town projects
Mhm.
and not the historical society. Don't think.
We're also talking to the Historic Commission, Jackie Dormitzer and her group. They are changing around some of their harbor walk signage, so we'll coordinate whatever they're doing with this kiosk that's here. So it'll fit into the new scheme.
So you estimate the completion will be Memorial Day of next year, and then you'll introduce it to the public like after Memorial?
No, I think we would make it would be the main focus of that Memorial Day ceremony at
Okay,
the end of the parade.
Only thing we might want to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that for CPC funds to go to historical, it has to be either a place on the historical registry or a place designated of historical significance by the Historical Commission. So my only thing would be is that to just, at the next meeting, if it already hasn't been, have Jackie and them just make sure that the place is designated. I mean, it's most certainly going to qualify.
Mhm.
I mean, it's got the names from the Revolutionary War on forward, so that I don't think it's an issue, but I'd just say to make sure that
Yeah, it
gets,
I talked to her, yes.
yeah, and that gets done.
Yeah, they could just send a brief letter to,
And I don't think that would hold up a vote per se, because
Well, yeah,
we can pass it subject to that, but.
Right.
good thought.
Two questions. Did you come across any Revolutionary or War of 1812 participants who have descendants in or around town?
Yes. Me.
Um,
I'm
be
sure
the
I'm sure there are other families too.
Yeah, no problem.
Lots of Lincolns and Bateses, and
Bateses.
the list is thing. The other interesting fact is that there are 3 young men from Cohasset who were physically present at the Boston Tea Party. 2 of them are buried at the Central Cemetery down off of Main Street downtown, and their graves are marked by a plaque. And one is buried at the Beechwood Cemetery up at Beechwood.
Be nice to convey that information some way or other.
Well, another thing that we're
There's a lot
we're
of
working with David
monuments.
Haston now on for design to see if one of these plaques can call out the fact that there's a Medal of Honor recipient from Cohasset also, Levi Gaylord. So we'll try to recognize him on this wall also. And it might be worth some discussion. We have to talk about a little more. Should those Tea Party folks be listed too? The Tea Party's a little ahead of the revolution, but
Sure.
it's all in the same world of where are we going and how do we get here?
Man,
We
Yeah.
should
That is
putting all the
unbelievable.
QR codes next to 70
Yeah.
people, including the
Yeah.
2 people from Boston Tea Party, that you can actually read about them and you can see their pictures and a profile of each one.
I think that would be great.
Yeah. So we're working on that. That's a little bit of a space thing. We only have 70 feet, so.
we privately raise funds. Did you say what the gap was to the target number?
Well, we're shooting to raise 25 and we're
Yeah.
hoping that your grant would be 75 and that gets us to our number. If nothing changes, if it does, we'll have to raise some more somehow, but we're using people who have worked in and around what we're trying to do here over the years, so shouldn't be a surprise.
Can I ask a question? Do you have a standard practice of matches? Or is it the case that you're coming and you're saying, we're gonna raise this and we're asking for that? That is.
Well, when I come,
The only reason I'm asking is because I'm supposed to go back and report it to the planning board.
We are trying, we're making a special effort from now on. And it's in our literature and in our application forms that we expect people to make an effort to find some matching funds.
Okay.
If at all possible.
Okay.
whenever I come here with a proposal, I always try to judge what is a reasonable amount to raise and then try to ask you for the match. So far, so good. I think we can do the 25 on this.
We redid all our literature last year, literature, the manual, everything, so that it was more detailed, that we gather more information, that we weren't just randomly giving out.
Oh, I didn't
elevations
think- I didn't
before,
think you
which
did. I just
we
was wondering.
weren't, but it wasn't outlined very clearly.
Yeah.
It was casual.
It was,
Yeah, we've had a few of those things in the bylaws.
but everything had to be backed up,
Uh-huh.
so, or have an explanation.
It helps people prioritize too, their own projects. You know, the Historical Society thinks about it, what is really important for us to do in the next 2 or 3 years? Of all the things we could possibly, it just gets people thinking.
We're also trying to reach out beyond the town. The town has done a lot of its own projects through us, but we want other organizations to reach out. Such as like the Beechwood Playground on their own to reach out and find that there is funding within the town that we can provide to them. Historical Society has used us quite a bit,
we
but
do.
this isn't a project outside, is different from that. So I think it works really well. Well, I would be comfortable recommending this, which will aside with the subject that we receive a letter that confirms it is historical.
Yes, definitely.
Should we could take a vote?
Well, let's hold on the vote and let's see what the rest of the agenda is like and then come back and talk about this and then vote at that point. That's been the basic practice that we've had in the past, and I think it served us well. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Glenn.
Take care, Tom.
Tracy, is Michelle with us?
Yep, so Michelle Leary is here and Sarah McSweeney. You guys want to come over to the table so they can hear you?
If we could turn or position the microphone so that it's more accessible, it'd be helpful, because it's sort of like people whispering from this standpoint. And I apologize for that, but
No, that's okay. It's just
If-
not ideal.
if we can't do better, that's, we can survive.
It's not there. I'm like, this is not best. Loud voice.
Okay. So I submitted a few different, I guess, letters of intent for applications that are forthcoming. One is hydration stations, that I don't have a full application for just yet. That is something that I'll bring to you as we approach spring. Records digitizing, that would be for Old Town Hall records. That's also something I'll bring to you, for spring. But something that we wanted you to hear tonight is the Milliken baseball field improvements. We thank you for the huge contribution to get the Milliken tennis courts done, the Beechwood playground, the Beechwood basketball courts, that entire package. I think you can see the progress if you drive by. It's been great. It's going to be, the Beechwood playground and basketball courts are going to be opening within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully the kids get some enjoyment out of it before the winter months. So as far as the Milliken baseball field improvements, one of the select board's goals coming into this year was, another phase of recreation, because we were given a huge master plan from Activitas when they were hired, and it was a comprehensive plan that totaled almost $30 million to get all of our recreation facilities up to par. So we started with what we thought was the biggest need, and that was the Milliken tennis courts, the Beechwood playground. And then we've been talking about what are some smaller things that we can do to just improve the overall presence of our fields. And one of the things is the Milliken baseball field. Currently, right now, every season, it seems as if the Diamond Club, CYBSA, the coaches, the kids, they're maintaining that field. It's a town field, and it doesn't really present as a beautiful baseball field. The bleachers are set in the back with weeds growing all over them. The actual field itself often is overgrown, and the dugouts are in terrible condition. We had an Eagle Scout this year try to repair them. She painted them. She did the best she could with what was there. But the masonry is really deteriorating. The fencing is sharp. They're not repairable at this point. They're painted, they look okay. But we're actually proposing that they be removed and replaced with something else. We've talked to some local contractors. They've given us pricing on what it would be to demolish both dugouts and replace them. And the cost is about $50,000, give or take. And of course, we can get better numbers and better quotes as time goes on. I'm sure you're looking here, and it's about $50,000. And the contribution from the other organizations is really the maintenance of it. So they've been maintaining the dugouts, the fields, both Beechwood and Milliken for some time now. So we're asking for the total $50,000, and they would maintain them in the future.
I think you've got 60,000.
Yep, so there's 2 projects listed there.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so one is $50,000 for the 2 dugouts, and there's $10,000 as a placeholder there to add some foul posts to Milliken Field, to give it a feel, to make it feel like a baseball field. Because currently, right now, the kids are playing baseball on what appears to everybody else as a soccer field. So there are some temporary posts you can put up and temporary fencing that can be taken down so it won't inhibit any of the soccer games going on. And we got a quote for that, and it's about $10,000. Sarah's here. I don't know, Sarah, if you want to add anything to this.
No, I mean, Michelle, great summary. I think a couple things. One is, we talk about Milliken like it's a town field, and it is, but it is an absolute extension of the Cohasset High School student athletes. full stop. So we're working in collaboration with, Steve Rotundi, who's the athletic director of the high school, and Craig McClellan, who's on the school committee. The aesthetics is definitely a component of the project, but for us, it's safety first. The field is quite candidly dangerous for the student athletes when they take the field. It's rolled ankles. We worry about that. Same with the dugouts. There's chipped concrete that someone can, graze their leg by. So we want to get a safety first, approach to the project. And then also, as Michelle said, it's for the student athletes for Cohasset High School. In addition, Ted Carroll and the Recreation Department can use that also for the town baseball when they phase out of Little League after age 12. So age 12 to 15 uses Milliken and Beechwood. So it's community driven, right? It's not just exclusive to the Cohasset High School student athletes. It'll be for the community. As Michelle said, the soccer field will still maintain and do their fall and spring seasons and programs up there for the youth soccer. So we make sure it's an easy transition back and forth on the shared space. But happy to take questions.
I'm new here, so.
Welcome.
I'm
And thank you
asking-
for volunteering. Thank you for your time.
So the high school has, staff that take care of their grounds, is that correct?
I'm gonna defer, actually, no, because it's a town field, the town maintains the field, so the
Yeah.
school does not maintain the field. Milliken.
Yeah, no, but I'm asking the question, which is, there's no crossover, is that a law or a regulation?
No, it's not a law or regulation. I think it's just manpower in the way the town is run is the DPW mows all the lawns. But actually maintaining the infield of the baseball diamond is sort of a specialty item. And our DPW workers strictly mow and weed whack. They don't really have the tools to maintain the infields of the baseball fields.
So we're 4 short on DPW workers right
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
big issue.
now, maybe 4 plus. at
Yeah.
this point.
Could I
But
just
still.
comment?
Sure.
Sorry. You've explained verbally a lot of things that you should have put into your application.
Okay.
Your estimates, where did you get them? You discussed this project with others, why and what? Just try to answer questions a little more fully.
Okay.
Sure, thank you for
Sure.
that feedback.
Milliken Field, the baseball Milliken Field has been on my to-do list for a long time, so I'm really glad to see this.
Excellent.
However, I do think there would be a way, if there could be a way to get an extra funding from boosters or from public, if you can do the 10,000 for the foul posts. We've done a lot of support for recreation this year.
Definitely, sure.
If you
sure,
can
for
come
that.
up with some outside sources to make that 10,000, that would be great. I'm also concerned about the maintenance because we are short on
Mhm.
staff for DPW.
Mhm.
So if there is kind of additional funding, you can, or if you can outline a way to get funding or
Mhm.
what needs to be done so that we can maybe fund that in addition. But it seems like you'll need outside sources for that, and not just depend on volunteers and parents.
Sure, so let me just play that back. So
Mhm.
your ask is on the 10,000 second component of the bid. And I'm
Find
just-
some secondary.
Right, and then on the
funding for that.
maintenance, you'd be willing to help with funding on that?
No, we
Maybe,
can't,
well,
we can't fund maintenance.
well, okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
and not for
But-
upkeep,
Yeah.
but Can do the foul poles.
So maybe we look at,
Mhm.
maybe we look at it invertedly. Maybe
Mhm.
we, have the takeaway to look at the maintenance that you can't fund it. Maybe we somehow work to augment that
Mhm.
resourcing and funding.
I mean,
And maybe we come back on the things that you are able to fund, like the foul pole and fence.
or find out how much it is to do the maintenance, like how can you fund it, or.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you to fund this, I wouldn't want the CPA to fund this and then have it
Right.
just fall apart, so.
But
We need-
maintenance really
Mhm.
can't be a match.
But are we
Okay.
referring to maintenance of the new dugout structures and the foul poles? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what we would be funding, so those aren't the real maintenance. The maintenance line items would be the field.
The maintenance is the field, that's
So
exactly
that's
right.
something that's not in CPC's doing.
Right, that wouldn't even be, that's not an ask
So
here.
this-
Let me be clear.
This,
So the
this
maintenance of the field.
replace the
You can't-
crumbling dugouts and
Yeah,
actually
correct.
institute foul poles that don't exist, so
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are.
Those
The
new.
field maintenance is not it's
Yeah.
not something we're
Yeah,
requesting
you
here.
cannot, right.
Well, any kind of.
Any kind of
Any
maintenance.
kind of maintenance.
Yeah.
Now, let's be
So-
good.
Yeah.
We're looking for a one-time, one-time
Any kind of
funding
match,
request,
you
no
could
no
fund
maintenance requested.
One or two, either one of these things
Right.
partially.
Right.
If you can, yeah, because.
you were looking at contractors to do this, were you looking at contractors that specify, you know, and deal with baseball fields in any which way?
So,
Yes.
so we looked at 3 different
Yes.
contractors,
Yeah.
yes. So we looked at, Rad, who's doing all of our projects in town. And then we looked at some local contractors that have already done some builds in town,
Yeah.
some at the Barnes Field, if I'm not mistaken.
Magna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yep,
so.
yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So
that's the kind of thing you need to put in your.
can I
application.
revise that? Can I go in and
Just get
revise it?
online and.
Okay.
Sorry, that was me, because
No, that's okay.
we're kind of working
Well,
in
well, no,
partnership. So
that's-
we're-
meeting
This is, we're
before.
new,
we'll come
we're,
in.
we're instituting a little more rigor into our.
No, that's okay.
application.
I'm happy to
Mhm.
add all this
So
information.
two comments on that. So you can have, the rad book, and they do spectacular work. But spectacular work has spectacular costs. So we thought we'd ratchet it back a little bit and mirror a little bit of, and Darren, you were probably involved
Yes.
with the dugouts at Barnes, which is a Little League field on North Main Street. So,
Yeah.
the Magners who have done tons of work in town, we said, hey, can you lean in a little bit? Because these are all your customers and help us get really tight on the bid. And really get precision around the economic construct. So we have a bid from them, it literally just kind of this fluidity to this. So we have that running parallel. We want to get multiple bids so that Michelle can make sure we're doing the best with monies that are being allocated from the town. But we think based on the research we've done, the local contractors are gonna be just more cost effective than the spectacular rad folks. They're great. If we had unlimited money, we'd be rolling it out to them, but I think that's gonna be,
So
that's gonna fall out of
so
bounds.
if it were to be completed, there would be an actual fence when they play baseball and the foul pole, so it would make it like
Yes.
it's a temporary structure to make it a baseball field, really?
Yeah, and also to be, you know, to have it be similar to the other MIAA fields that the Cohasset student athletes play on, right? That's really the ultimate goal, to make sure it's on par, not to use a golfism, but to make sure it's more on par with the surrounding towns. We don't have the, we still have a turf field, but we just, that's unrealistic. So we're trying to get as close to on par with everybody else.
Do you mean a
Exactly right.
regulation size? It's too small? Is that what it is? Or
No,
just
the regulation is, it just, when you go to another town, they have a dedicated baseball field, not a town field that's kind of backfitted for
Baseball.
one soccer, that we kind of make baseball, and then it's,
I think it was always a football field when I was.
well, that's, I get, as an 87 graduate, now you know how old I am, it was a football field. It was- And you can still see the track when we used to, you used to stand on the sidelines.
All right.
It's
Now that everybody knows how old I am.
it's not too small, it's too large. If you hit the ball in the left field, you have to hit an 800-foot home
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly, so there are no home runs there. There are no, and again, the other towns come, they're like, there is no home run at Milliken because there's no perimeter outside fence.
Yeah.
So we,
I mean,
town.
when the fields were changed from when Milliken Field had the football field,
Yeah.
when they moved it over, the baseball field was there and it
Yeah.
just had benches. It was very rudimentary. But when the fields were redone, the Milliken Field was basically more for soccer, and baseball, while they could fit it over there, was kind of an afterthought. So with most towns, they have a single use separate baseball field for towns, even for JV and freshmen, let alone
Yeah.
varsity. And so to anything that could be done to upgrade it would certainly be welcome, because when that switch happened, it is where it is. But there's no definition for where the outfield is, where there should be.
Can I ask a
Okay.
couple of questions? So springtime, the skipper's season, what else goes on in that field
outside of soccer,
during the course of a week? Yeah,
Soccer.
or baseball, you mean?
yeah, what else? Soccer, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, again,
And where does soccer,
so
yeah,
soccer,
where do those sports take place?
where does the town soccer take place?
With respect to the
The
baseball.
school soccer.
So they're they use, what I've been told, they use
Exactly,
that field.
So
So
Town soccer.
That's right,
the
that's right.
point. Town soccer in the middle of baseball season,
Yes,
with cleats on, they tear up that playing surface. So
Yes.
what, in the middle of baseball, when
The
the
outfield, not the infield.
that's
outfield.
correct, the outfield, not the
They go
infield,
all,
he's
they
right.
go
Yeah.
basically go all the way to where the
Yeah.
dirt of the
Yeah.
Yeah,
infield is.
yeah, and my daughter plays town soccer, so, what's been the run rate upkeep, whether you do the annual, every 2 to 3 years?
We know, because we do this, and
I
we
know.
split the
So
funding, and
what's-
we scurry up the
So
dollars.
what is that amount that
Yeah.
the booster club has to cobble together?
We
What-
cobble
what's that
together.
amount?
Well, it depends. I mean, one year we had a
Okay.
full $30,000 figure that the town did, and then last year, I think it was, Michelle, was it eight?
I think it was 8,000.
Yeah.
What's then
Yeah.
I've been in the field
Yeah.
every weekend. what's the upcoming refresh to get that?
So
playing
great
surface?
question.
That is a great
That's a great
question.
question. And we also went to,
Maintenance-wise,
yeah, maintenance,
not
maintenance
whether
only,
it's-
right,
Yeah.
like care and maintenance.
What are we looking at now?
So we went to RAD as well, and they gave another spectacular proposal with a spectacular number.
Right.
So in lieu of that, because money is tight everywhere, right? Everything costs more.
Mhm.
We're actually having conversations with some local landscapers to see if we can't do
Right.
it. And we should actually call your very generous friend in Situate. We won't go there because we don't want to disrupt what you're doing, which is
Do you-
fabulous.
You know, if you had some of the contractors pitch in a little, that would be considered a match too. And
Have the
if they
contractors-
Gave you a little break
Yeah,
on this or that, you could use that as a match.
yes.
If they, would, you know.
Yeah,
if they were
yes,
fine.
again, we're making sure that we follow all the, guidelines of the procurement process, because that's
Mhm.
super important.
Yeah.
So we're talking to local landscapers to say, can you come up and this is what we need to do?
Yep.
We know it needs to be done,
Right.
so we're asking some of the local
They
Mhm.
other CHS graduates to say, can you help us on this? Because it's a big number. So that's underway. J Landscaping is top of our list.
Yeah.
Then
And he also can do it in the off season, the off season in the winter when he's
Right.
not as busy and give us a better number, which we're gonna pay for.
So
Mhm.
will this
We-
field, I'm sorry.
We, some of us.
Will this field be like divided off so that the soccer players can't use it to make sure if we're gonna? put
It's
all
never
this funds
divided
into-
off. It's, now here, this is important clarification. The dugouts and the foul poles, the soccer players have nothing to, they don't go near those, right? Because they're, if this is the baseball field, they're in the infield. So they don't touch those, they don't sit in those, there's no wear and tear from the soccer. It is in the outfield.
It's in the outfield.
So it doesn't, there's no depreciation of this wonderful asset we're gonna put in based on the soccer participation. Just, they don't use it.
Would it be helpful to see a photo of what we're
A
talking about?
rendering to go with this application.
So
would
we
be
should-
great.
We can get, yeah,
So we should, okay.
yeah. We should actually bring even better than, we'll do some before and after, which is, here's what they look at now. When you see the dugouts and, you see that they're in terrible shape.
Terrible.
I mean, they're in terrible shape. But we've had complaints from the other towns coming, they're like, this is unacceptable.
How many, with your sons in playing high school in Babe Ruth, how many baseball fields have you, that are high school fields, have you think you visited?
1,000.
What do you think?
No, a lot, we have people that play
It's a
baseball.
serious question because.
This, no,
I think
it's,
you have
yeah,
credibility.
yeah, is it,
What percent do you think Milliken ranks?
this is the single worst field that
It's
that's
the
on the
worst.
south
It is-
by,
It is
far,
famously
right.
the worst
By
far.
field.
right, you can go
Yeah.
anywhere, you know.
And that's
Yeah.
the aspect
Yeah,
of that,
yeah.
there's a lot of,
100%. Abington, which is, if anyone's been around,
they
was, they
borderline
just put all
may
their,
not wanna
they just put
play.
all that money in that, because they were like, we had to bring our field up to par. It was just,
Yeah.
you can't have these student athletes on a field that just isn't.
And I would
Same.
also caution, we use the private residential landscapers.
Yeah.
They're not the sports surface engineers. They
No.
don't know how to build safe pitchers mounts,
Yeah.
home plates built with clay construction underneath.
Yeah.
They don't know how to cut the proper angles in
Right.
the infield grass.
The
They
grading.
can sometimes, what happened with certain landscaper, they caused us more volunteer work and cost
Yeah.
than they benefited us, just because they're not, sports, it's like golf, it's like if you go talk to Glenn at Cohasset Golf Club, it's a specialty.
It is.
It's
It is.
in the so you have to, you have to end up investing what you have to, you can try to save. But it's, the maintenance piece is a burden,
Yeah.
and that's outside of the domain of CPC.
Yeah.
It's tough to save money continually without paying the toll. And kicking the
It's
can.
really hard.
Yeah.
We have the parents do Beechwood all season for our
Mhm.
8th or 9th and 10th graders.
So in the next round, I would put in those estimates of those
Mhm.
reliable contractors that you
Mhm.
think you'll use and outline to
Yeah.
how much, what's the cost to do it and
Mhm.
what's their timeline to complete this as well.
I can upload that this week
Yeah.
to
Okay.
this. doc.
By the way, just so we're clear, they will finish on time. We will manage them to the date of March 15th, without exception, or there'll be penalties in the proposal. We're gonna treat it like an SLA, and I'm 100% serious. That's how we operate with these guys. So they know that they're gonna make a commitment. If they don't hit the deadline,
Mhm.
then they draw down their fee. Like, it is that simple, as long as that's allowed by procurement.
It's a,
But that's how we're gonna get it done.
So we just want to know your process, which you
Oh.
discussed.
Yeah. We can
Right.
get the bid. We just met with them on Friday, to get to do a walkthrough up at Milliken, so there's clarity on exactly what needs to be done.
I would recommend any matching that you can put into proposal from
We can.
whomever.
We can put some matching, and we'll
Mhm.
just see how we do the
Barron's, like,
construct on that.
yeah.
What other organizations can
Yeah.
support you in this?
Just to set expectations, the matching for the high school baseball is, it's pretty thin. They're just, we're all going to the same well, you know, for football, CYBSA, so it's thin. Just so we're clear, there's not an abundance of donations around town. The baseball club that supports the high school program pays for a lot of ancillary items for the kids. So, we're gonna have to, that's gonna be a balancing act.
And did
Thank
not
you.
the athletic department have a few big ticket items like the scoreboards that were, you know, that are really
So the scoreboard that the
for the Cohasset High School, you know, like I'm talking about financial commitments that the athletic director had to make, right? That. is one-
Right, yeah, for the new scoreboard up at,
Yeah, there's other priorities.
yeah.
Right,
yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful scoreboard, it's up there
Yep.
Friday night, it looks fabulous.
that's great.
I do have one basic question, which is, we're being asked to put $60,000 into what sounds to me like a wholly unsatisfactory structure. Is there any thought about looking at the needs for baseball and getting something that's adequate? This sounds like it's probably the worst in our league in terms of a facility. And if we
It
keep,
is, and let me be clear, it's not a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, because we're going to have Milliken for the long term. It's not changing in 24 months, otherwise I would agree with you, they'd be throwing good money after bad, but Milliken's here for.
but Milliken could be
better than
put
I do.
into
Yeah.
a
You know,
multi-use
for
kind of
a long
situation.
road.
And I think the reason we're starting with the dugouts is because no matter what improvements we make to Milliken Field as a whole, the dugouts will still remain in the space that they're in. And
Yeah.
if those are improved first, it's not something that would be taken away if we did further improvements to Milliken Field.
Now, these are new dugouts.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yes, yeah,
yes, completely new.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
rehab. We're
And
gonna
they
remove
have
the
to
old.
be in a certain place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
so even
Or-
if, you know, for some reason, if there's a decision that someone decides to turf all a Milliken and it's the best field ever, those dugouts, which will hopefully will happen, those dugouts will stay where they are, and they won't be, you know, money that just we say we throw in the trash and start over.
Unless it's a different configuration.
Correct.
All right, so, very good. Any other questions? All righty, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Michelle, you will resubmit a final application?
I will.
Okay,
Is,
and if you
Are
could give
we
us a
on a
timetable on
timeline?
that, not necessarily tonight, but so that we can schedule a meeting around that.
Tom, is this gonna meet the timeline for the town meeting?
Yeah, because I think the warrant closes at the end of the month or the beginning of November, so.
I mean, if we have an assurance that there would be a revised application submitted, could we, based on this discussion and what they've submitted tonight, just go with that for purposes of the town meeting? With the understanding that they will submit a fuller, just for the record.
I would be more in favor of seeing what they resubmit and then voting on that. And if they can make it on time, then that should be fine.
So
I mean,
we
you've
can
got
work back, we can make it on time, we can
Yep.
work at pace.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of weeks, so it's not like it's
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, so as long as we know what date,
Number
Like-
something. 'cause
It's
just-
November sixth,
I-
it's locked up by
It's-
the
it's a
board,
month.
so.
I think we just need to know when the next meeting you're gonna
that's
have
exactly,
is.
that's the
We
question.
will, we will meet around your agenda. If you can get that in the next couple of weeks, we will meet around that. Because
I'll
we
get it in
have,
this
the
week.
only thing we have is you and Glenn, and I think we've got Glenn's in good shape, and what we need is yours and a chance to look at that, make a judgment, and have a vote. So
Okay.
if we get it in 2 weeks, I think we'll be fine.
We'll get it before then, we'll let you know.
You'll have
when
it by
it's
the
in.
end of the week.
Yeah,
Great,
make it happen.
that's
Yep.
perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
What else do we have?
going back to the agenda, do we want to have an election tonight, or do we want to put that off for the next meeting?
Do we have one more proposal, the water hydration?
That, she's gonna do that. I think Michelle just said that in the
Yeah.
records is
This
for
one.
Springtown meeting. She was
Yeah.
just putting it in there to kind of.
Exactly, that was my understanding.
Good.
So the only thing we'll have from the town is the Milliken Field proposal. All right, so do we want to do an election tonight, or do we want to wait until we have a full complement? Jen's not there, and but we may never have a full complement, so it's up to how people feel.
I would say if people have in mind people that they want, I would reconstitute the board as such so that it can move on. Because we're only gonna have one more meeting and then it's town meeting.
Great, all right, so why don't we do that?
If you
So
got people in mind for a motion, go ahead. So,
I do not have people in mind for a motion, but the floor is open for anybody who wants to nominate anybody.
Does anybody want to nominate anybody? I don't know if they. Did you hear what he said?
No.
So he was asking if anybody had any nominations for chair.
I nominate Tom Reardon for chair.
Um,
I second that. I second that.
Any other nominations?
I'll nominate Ginny for vice chair.
No,
Well, I think,
I decline. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm on another board.
Okay.
Well, maybe we take one office at a time.
mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
So any other nominations for chair? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. All right, nominations for vice chair.
Agree with that last week.
Nominations for vice chair.
Jen,
She's sick.
I know,
Are you acting vice chair?
I am.
Okay.
Would you like to continue? in
Would
that
you like
role?
to continue?
Sure, I'm still, it's been fun to learn, but I love the new handbook, the new
Yeah.
uh
You did
process,
a great job.
the opportunity to liaise with the grant recipients, especially even these two that we had.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy to do that, yeah.
Okay, so we nominate Darren for vice chair.
Can
I'll
somebody-
Any other nominees? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Darren.
Thank you.
I think that does it.
That's Tracy.
What's going on? There's a water situation.
Whatever, the hydration.
We can't live without Tracy.
No, I think
All
one
right.
was Installed over at the baseball field. It was like
Have you
two or
seen
3
it?
weeks ago
Yeah.
by Adam Norman. He installed, he had a.
It's delivered.
It would be nice to see how they
We need an
do a
update.
little assessment of it before we fund more of them.
We should do a field trip.
I think,
You can go over there and see if it works. Or how it's
Well, I
protected.
understand it was
That was
supposed
a
to be
concern.
installed, so.
that,
He's in
yeah,
open
it
space
it
on
must
an
have
open
just
space.
happened, because the equipment was delivered,
Uh,
and it was a waiting installation.
oh. Is it
I
on
mean,
the
really,
ground?
to ask us to fund 2 more before we've even seen the first ones in and operating. Or at least in so that somebody can
Um,
test them and so.
Sure.
I'll reach out to him and ask him for an update. Maybe he can come
I
next meeting.
yeah, I can join them down there too.
Okay.
The single-use plastic is a plague, and those, if they work
Oh, I know.
remotely like we hope, they'll pay off in spades.
I don't, my only
Yeah.
concern was protecting them in off seasons, if they were in a public place against vandalism or anything like that. That was my concern.
Yeah.
That's all.
You know,
I'm sure there'll be a boom to,
we were concerned about, winterization of it and then we could survive.
Yeah.
Through that, and supposedly it can.
turn them off and.
Yeah,
never-
we do,
and
they
then-
do winterize the water in the snack shack, the water service, and, there's some other things that would be vulnerable to
Yeah.
vandals, but we've never had anything, so it's something where
Yeah,
we should have them explore options, but.
because it's out in the open, right? It's not inside a shack.
I would say at the state level, they're installing these everywhere, and especially on beaches and things,
Yeah.
Mhm.
where they're most appropriate. And And so the secret is you put them closer, like you said, to a snack shack, to there's gonna be people around. You're not putting it into a
Tucked away
yeah,
area.
tucked away area where it can't be seen or wherever. And that's also generally that's where the water's gonna be. You're gonna have the water
Yeah.
pipes closer to those areas. So that's sort of the trend of how they're doing them, but
But
there's
seasons, what I was concerned about,
absolutely,
you know,
you
someone
have to
comes in-
basically winterize them or have a cap
Or-
on them or something so
so,
it keeps
you
it
know,
safe.
Protect the actual
Yep.
physical.
Yep.
Anecdotally, I would say, you've been involved in Little League as well, and I've been over a decade in different roles, and vandalism, we've had litter can be a problem. We have to stay on top of that. We have a lot of people come in and use our dumpsters. Which
They do that,
tempting.
they do that at housing. too, in the
Yeah,
middle of
it's a
the night.
dumpster, they park service vehicle, there's a lot of things that people do that aren't like really permissible. We've never really had a vandalism incident, and we have very clean restrooms and we leave them open almost all year round, and people who are on runs and dog walks.
That's good.
So if you're ever in there and you see the porta potty, sometimes I direct strangers, no, we actually have like nice,
Yeah.
clean. So we've never had an issue with those, so it's a sensible precaution, but I don't know, it would be like a prerequisite, we just haven't had the history of that, thankfully.
I'm in that area all the time walking
Yeah.
my dog, and there's really no one
Yeah,
there.
Wintertime.
I mean, maybe a cop occasionally that sits there, or a contractor
A lot of
doing,
cop, yeah.
sitting there. But you don't see that much going on. But
Right.
There's a lot of traffic walking by.
Pretty high visibility area,
That's true.
It's pretty
trouble.
It should be close to where people can see it.
All right, can I pull us back to the agenda? Do we want to take a vote on the historical military memorial proposal by Glenn and his group?
Yeah.
Chair is open for a motion.
I motion to,
What was the?
let's see,
It's a $75,000
$75,000. It's for
proposal.
to give a, for the CPC to make a motion to support the 75,000 for the Veterans Park, subject to a letter that confirms that it's historical property or historical site.
Significance here
Mhm.
in the town. I'll second.
Great. I think we should take a voice vote, around the table vote, personal vote on each one. So if we could maybe start with you, Dave, and go around how
Right,
people
aye.
vote.
Do I vote?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amy Glassmeyer, aye.
Darren Souza, aye.
Jenny Najmi, aye.
Mary Ann Weatherall died.
Tom Reed and I. So, great. And then, do we want to take a vote on the minutes of the last meeting? Tracy, everybody has those, I assume?
I put them on the OneDrive. I'm not sure. Did everybody
I don't
get to get on the OneDrive? Ginny, I knew you had an issue. Miriam, did you go on there? No.
All right, pull down other stuff.
We can carry those over to the next meeting if you want.
You want to carry them over and I can send them out to everybody?
Sure,
Okay,
easy,
I can
because
send 'em out.
they're not critical at the moment, because there is a pretty pro forma meeting.
Okay.
Are we doing anything about the hydration? Are we just saying, yes, go ahead with that,
No, she's gonna present for spring.
Right.
the hydration?
She was just mentioning that it's gonna come up,
Oh, I thought.
not for this town meeting,
Okay,
for the
all right,
next one.
sure.
And she was also saying the same thing about the records digitalizing. That she was gonna bring that up in the
But
future.
But should we say, yes, go ahead and develop your grants based on this preliminary?
Well, I think she was just developing it, but we have to see
Yeah.
the first letter of intent first, don't we?
Well, I think,
The
didn't
first
they
stage.
already submit a preliminary?
She submitted the eligibility
Yeah, the
application.
eligibility, shouldn't have to do that again. Maybe we should be
Oh.
able to decide if those projects are eligible. And then they can develop the full grant whenever, according to the schedule for the Springtown meeting. Couldn't we do
Well,
that? Just.
My
accept-
understanding is that was designed for the full town meeting and that they would come back. Is that not right?
But they've put in their eligibility and all we
Yeah.
have to say is, yes, these projects would be eligible. to be
Yes,
considered.
but we don't need to
Say
vote on
that.
that, do we? Just, or do we? Do we need to vote on it? We have a whole new procedure, so for those who are not, new, we are feeling our way.
They just need to be notified that
Oh, okay.
if it's the sense of the
Well, can we
committee.
talk about the record digitalization?
Sure.
I don't have that.
They have done that before in the library and the town hall, I
Mhm.
think, so it's not a new thing, and they seem to be very on top of, what needs to be done, so it's pretty straightforward.
Didn't the Historic Society, we
Yeah,
funded
they've
them
done it too, yeah.
maybe 2 years ago, I believe it was?
Yeah, these are for, I think, town records, like the town
Mhm.
clerk.
Town clerk's been the one who's done it the most.
Yeah.
When they've had
Yeah.
before, when Carol
And
St.
she-
Pierre was the town clerk, she
Okay.
did a few rounds of.
And Lisa,
digitizing.
Lisa's very organized,
Mhm.
she's the one.
and
Or
then-
are you, who's making the request? Is your department making the request?
Michelle is, yeah, for the town manager's office.
'Cause I
That'd be
remember at one point they found the town charter in the basement of the town hall. So they,
250 years of.
yeah, yeah, so.
But now, there is something in that eligibility application that says that we can then, if we digitize, we can then get rid of our old records, but you wouldn't want to get rid of all your paper records. That's kind of
So there's
I don't
certain
think that's a
records
good
that
idea.
can be destroyed and there's certain that cannot. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
the company that
okay.
they work with.
all right,
Um,
so, yeah, because
Yeah,
I wouldn't
does
depend on
indicate
just
that
having
it's-
things digitized and.
Yeah,
Do you
something-
have that?
Because the records they
that
can
solution?
records they
That
can
eligibility.
destroy, they have to go to the Secretary of State's office and file paperwork with them and put them on notice that they're going to destroy these, and then they're allowed to. But it's
Okay.
only certain types
All
that they
right.
can.
But who,
So it's not like
does-
birth records.
Mhm.
who makes those decisions?
It's the state guidelines on what you can destroy and what you cannot destroy.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
some things you have
That's
to
fine.
keep forever.
I just thought,
Yeah.
okay, all the paper's gotta go. and-
No.
What is the estimate?
It's interesting on the planning board, there's a piece of property that's
Yeah,
off
it's
of,
8,000.
Black Rock Road. And
Uh-huh.
it's quite substantial in acreage. And it was originally filed for a subdivision. development.
I know that.
Yeah, and when it came up before us, there was the prospect that it would not qualify for the scale of the development that they wanted. Unfortunately, all the paperwork for the initial effort to look at the property and scope out what could be done could not be found. And so we ended up in a situation where we didn't have the full planning board approve what was being we were told it had already been approved, but nobody had the document. So it's basically in limbo.
The stalemate until something can be found.
Yes.
So the family couldn't provide it.
No, it was actually in an organization, it had an entity rather than a family.
I think that was good that we held.
Well, it was just really interesting because we had people who were saying, well, I was at the meeting. And then when we said, well, then somebody has to pay for it. But it turned out that the planning board's documentation had been winnowed previously. And so we didn't know if it got winnowed at the time, that in relationship to the project that was being proposed, or whether it just was nowhere. Wasn't even listed on a record anywhere. So,
Yes, so preservation is key to make sure sometimes you don't destroy everything.
We just want 50,000.
Live right across the street from that.
oh, you do.
So are you doing a lot of these records? It's 50,000?
50,000.
I'm not sure what she has included in that.
There's
Yeah,
not
I
much
mean,
here.
No, I just
Maybe
noticed
she's
there
saying
isn't much here, so
What,
I'll have
Maybe
to-
they,
what document?
I'll have to ask her for more
yeah,
info.
she could do a little more
What town?
information too.
I can
We do that.
definitely do that, yeah.
We need to go back to her and say.
All right, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Do you want to pick another date before we get, are you gonna meet one more time before town meeting, or you're not sure? yet?
Yes, no, I think we should meet another town one more time, but I think we should get a calendar from Michelle so that we make sure that she's
Well,
done.
she said that she would have the updated application or complete application with what you asked for by the end of the week.
All right, well, do people have their calendars in front of them? Do we wanna, we've tended to meet on, Mondays,
Yeah.
The 21st.
and that's not necessary, but it tends to not conflict with other meetings. So, I think we'd be pushing her if we tried to meet on the 14th, right?
Well, the
So,
14th is Columbus Day, so town hall's closed.
oh, there you go. So maybe the 21st, does that work for people?
Yep.
I will be in New York City at a work commitment
Um,
-1.
But we have, what's our quorum? 5? We should be able to muster 5 people.
the 22nd, the selectmen meet, right?
Why don't
I think if
try
we could go to the 28th, would that work for people? That's getting late if something were, but we'd still have a week, right? Because you said,
Mhm. Right,
Tracy,
the
the 6th,
6th is when they're, yep.
so
28th?
does the 28th work for people?
Yes. I can do the 28th.
Yep.
All right, why don't we set it for the 28th
Okay,
and at 7 o'clock at the senior center
okay.
with a Zoom thing, and hopefully I will be there. The Zoom thing is imperfect, I would say,
know.
but it's better than nothing.
Terrible.
All right, that's great. So we'll see you on the 28th. And did we get a motion to adjourn?
Not yet. Anybody?
So the chair is in,
I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. We'll see you on the 28th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Get better.
Thank you. Thanks, Tracy, as always.
You're welcome.